And, I growing up in the church, I just kind of built up a lot of things against God. And I knew the Bible pretty well. And there's a lot of stuff that I read in the Bible that freaked me out about him. I did not think he was somebody to be trusted. I had some pretty funky views of the Lord growing up. I thought, among other things, he was the least trustworthy person in the world. And what I mean by that is I didn't feel like he had my best interest at heart. I always felt like he was very, very selfish. Does that make sense? Like he was a selfish deity. All he wanted was me to do what he wanted me to do. Like it was always about like just get in, just obey me, right? To obey is better than sacrifice. Just obey me, right? And I remember like missionaries would come back and they'd come to our church. We'd always have like Missionary Sunday, and they'd tell you all these horror stories of being out in the mission field, and I'm just like, good Lord, I don't ever want, please don't send me to Africa. You know what I mean? Like, just whatever you do, Lord, don't make me one of those people. I like air conditioning too much. And I just couldn't, I was just like, but they would come back and they would it's like, it's all about the sacrifice. You just have to give everything to him and just like lay it all down and let him take everything. I'm like, man, like I don't know. There's things I really want to do in life, and there's just all kinds of things about him. Like he was distant. I mean, why else be invisible?
Wow, good point.
If you want to be so close to me, then show yourself, right? Am I the only one who thinks this way?
No.
I never thought of it.
I just had all kinds of issues, man. All kinds of issues. I think too much. It's my problem. And but then there's things in the Bible that would just get me. So like probably the number one story that freaked me out as a kid was the story of Abraham. So you got Abraham, and he's kind of raised up in the Bible as the godfather of faith, and he's like the one that we all are supposed to be like Abraham. I remember, if you go back and actually read in Genesis and you read the story, and he says Abraham, and Abraham says, "Yes, Lord, what do you want?" And he says, "I want you to do something for me. I'd like you to take your son, your only son whom you love." I love in the Bible, it actually says, whom you love. Like, he's almost like twisting the knife a little bit more. You know what I mean? Like, take the one you care about the most, the one who, all the promises that I gave you, and I would like you to take him on a 3-day journey. And then I'd like you to tie him up, I'd like you to stab him in the heart and burn his body. And I would like you to do this for me to show me that you love me. And I remember, like, when you're a kid, you just buy this stuff hook, line, and sinker. I remember like coloring pictures of Isaac carrying the wood, like in Sunday school. Like I'm coloring the picture of this kid who's like going to like sacrifice, carrying the wood that his dad's going to kill him with, right? And it was just, the whole thing was just so twisted. And I remember like, man, Lord, see, this is what happens if you get too close to God. This is the kind of stuff he asks you to do, right? And that was where a lot of my mistrust came from. Or you have guys like Moses, God's best friend, right? He's the only one in the Bible. I love Moses. Moses is my favorite character in the Bible. I actually named my dog Moses. But Moses is he's the only one in the Bible who God actually says, I talk to this one face to face as a friend. He's the only one who gets like, this is my friend, right? He's God's best friend. Yet, he makes one mistake. God tells him to speak to the rock, and instead he gets angry. He starts to believe his own press clippings, and he strikes the rock twice. Water comes from it, but it's not how God wanted it. And oops, you know what? You screwed up so bad. You're out. You're not getting into the promised land. Right? It's like one mistake after all the stuff it does for you. And so, do you know what I mean? Like, I would just read these stories, and I would read them, but I was reading them through a lens not of friendship. I was reading them through a lens of like, acquaintanceship. Most Christians are acquaintances with God. We're not actually friends with Him. And so I would read the stuff and I would say, you know what, God, you are, like, I prefer you at a safe distance. And so what my life for 30 years, my Christian life was trying to find what I call the sweet spot of Christianity. Now, the sweet spot, and this is what the sweet spot is. It's where you let God close enough to you so you don't feel like a total spiritual loser. You know? But like you keep him just enough at bay so that he doesn't get dangerous. Right? And there's this constant tension between like, come closer, no, whoa, back up. You're getting too close, you're asking me to do something I don't want to do, back up. Right? And so it's just this constant thing.
Yeah.
And there came a point where I was just like, God exhausted me. Like, my relationship with him was exhausting. And so I just, whatever. Just become wallpaper. Let's just admire each other from a distance. So that was pretty much where I was at. Has anybody here seen Finger of God? Mm-hmm. Have you seen my movie Finger of God? Okay, that's where I was at when I made that movie. There you go. Whoa. I barely believed in him. I certainly didn't like him very much. I definitely didn't trust him. But if you asked me, I would tell you I loved him. I did love him because I knew I was supposed to. But there wasn't like a ton of feelings there. Around when I was turning 30, my family started discovering this weird church in Toronto. Very strange church. It was. They said that the revival was happening there, and so they started going. I went there once. I absolutely hated every minute of it. It was. I call it charismania. It was charismatic Pentecostal to the nth degree. Lots of laughter, lots of people falling down, shaking, lots of laughter, lots of people just laughing, like people like speakers laughing, right? And I was just like, this place is just weird. But my family started going there, and they started all getting like wrecked, and their lives started getting changed. And one of the biggest things that happened was my aunt and uncle, who were having a failed marriage, and they went to Toronto because they heard God was moving there. So they go there, and they said, God, you have to do something here, and if you don't, then we're going to call it quits, because this is just too much. And they both walked out of there with gold teeth. It's my aunt and uncle who I've known my entire life. So for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, yes. They walked in with like normal teeth, and they walked out with like, she had one big molar and he had two molars, pure gold.
Wow.
And they're still gold to this day. Now this has happened to like thousands of people, but we won't get into that. Because I would have told you at the time, and I think I probably told people, that everybody else was lying, more than likely, but my aunt and uncle were my family, right? And I'm like, I know them. Like, he's a superintendent of schools, she's a housewife. Like, they don't have ministries that they're trying to, like, you know what I mean? Like, they're just normal people. And it was interesting, I can't go into it right now, but like, them getting gold teeth was probably the single event that kickstarted the complete restoration of their marriage.